When the system breaks, he's the guy entrepreneurs call when they want their lives back. He builds systems that make millions, save time, and remove chaos.
If you don't have the proper foundation, you shouldn't try to scale. Otherwise, you're just creating more chaos, creating more headaches, all for like no good, really. Like if you have a clear intentionality of trying to exit or something, sure, there's some benefit to be able to do that, but if you're playing the long game, which anything over 6 months is the long game, right? Then it's build it strategically, because in our opinion, it'll pay off.
But even the best systems break. And when they do, you find out who you really are without them.
They don't know it, but they're literally creating a limit for themselves and what's possible, right? So they're playing whack-a-mole in their business. So the way we try to take it is a very strategic order to work on the right things in the right order. And with each one of those things, we want to put in the proper structure, systems, team, numbers to turn that part of the business into a machine. The business becomes less dependent on them and more scalable and easier to grow all at the same time. They're already doing the work. They just need to put a little bit more intentionality behind it.
This is Netzly. Right? You've been in the game of business. You've been in the game of scaling. How did you even get into it?
Started out as an engineer in the corporate world and quickly learned that wasn't my path. And, just looking at all my managers 10, 20 years down the line, I was like, all right, there's got to be another way, And I started day trading on the side while still working full time. That was my first business, but I didn't have any employees, so it didn't feel like a business, but that was my first one. And then I took some time off after that, traveled around the world. And when I came back, I started quote unquote real businesses with the team and whatnot, and started 3 other businesses that led to what we do now.
Is that where the systems concepts come from? Is that engineering mind, that engineering background?
Yeah, we take an engineering approach to business. It's all very structured, very efficient, numbers-based, right? Looking at leverage and trying to turn the business into a machine. Because once it's there, then it can really scale and you can have freedom. So whatever you want to do, whether you want to step back, whether you want to scale more, whether you want to duplicate it, whatever you want to do, you can do that. But a lot of people don't get their businesses to that point. So it's just chaos all the time, right?
Do you think people are scaling their business that shouldn't scale their business, or trying to scale their business that shouldn't scale their business?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The way that we see it is like there's a very strategic order to things. And if you don't have the proper foundation, you shouldn't try to scale. Otherwise, you're just creating more chaos, creating more headaches, all for like no good, really. Like if you have a clear intentionality of trying to exit or something, sure, there's some benefit to be able to do that. But if you're playing the long game, which anything over 6 months is the long game, right? Then it's build it strategically, because in our opinion, it'll pay off, in a pretty quick period of time if you do.
Where do you think this notion of like scale your business came from? Because like the baby boomer generation, when they built businesses, they didn't build businesses to scale them and sell them. They built businesses to provide for their family, have a little flexibility, but most of those baby boomers weren't really thinking about scale and didn't desire scale. Yeah. Is that a social media created?
I think it is. Yeah, there's so much comparison that goes on that we don't even think about, but it's just ingrained in our society, right? Mm-hmm. And there's some good things to that, right? Like it does create a lot of innovation. It creates a lot of motivation in different ways, but there's also the very unhealthy side of it as well, right? Which I think, you and I both resonate in the way that we talk about it, is like build your business to create the life that you want, right? And like really use it as that vehicle, and try to separate from that attachment to anybody else in comparison to anybody else and anything else, right? Because success is only defined by you and you only, right?
Yeah, the thing that I see a lot in business, I'm sure you see a lot, is people try to scale their way out of their business before their business is ready to be scaled out of. Yeah. They want to get to that lifestyle so quickly that they think they have the right team, they think they have the right systems, they disappear, and what happens 3, 6, 9 months later, they get the call.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, revenue's down. Hey, profit's down. Hey, we need help. Yep. And it's really hard to take that lifestyle you built, which is flexibility, freedom, maybe going to the office 20 hours a week, and say, okay, now I'm going to go roll my sleeves up and go back in 60 hours a week like I was doing. Yep. When you guys are working with businesses, what is the number one mistake that you see them make when they're trying to scale?
When they're trying to scale, I would say they're focusing on the things out of order. So they're trying to scale their leads, but they're not converting those leads effectively, and they're not making them raving fans on the back end. And if they bring more clients, then they have to focus on fulfillment, because that's not really, set up in a truly systemized or scalable way. So they're just having to move their focus at all times to new things, and then they have to take their eye off the ball of this other thing, which that then drops. So they don't know it, but they're literally creating a limit for themselves and what's possible, right? So they're playing whack-a-mole in their business. So the way we try to take it is a very strategic order to work on the right things in the right order. And with each one of those things, we want to put in the proper structure, systems, team, numbers to turn that part of the business into a machine so that it's scalable and not reliant on them, so that when they go and focus on this other thing, that doesn't drop off. So they don't have to go and fix that fire, right? So if we do that, then we're consistently being able to lever up the business so that they can scale. And once they get there, that's the new low. And then they can get to the next level, and that's the new low. And their business becomes less dependent on them and more scalable and easier to grow all at the same time. They're already doing the work. They just need to put a little bit more intentionality behind it, right?
So where do you start? You've got a very systemized approach. You guys have an order, obviously, the engineering background. Where do you guys start? What's number one that you look at inside of a business?
First thing, we've got to understand the vision. Like literally every business decision comes from what are they trying to accomplish? Because what I'm trying to accomplish may be completely different from what somebody else is trying to accomplish. And so many gurus out there, they don't take that into account. They don't ever ask anybody. They just give you, here's the playbook, right? And this is what success is. And you can follow that. For some people it works, for some it doesn't. What we've got to understand is exactly where do you want to go? And what's that real success? Not the general success. Not I want a 7-figure business or I want a 7-figure income or whatever. Like, why do you want those things? What's really underneath that? So that we can design the business as a vehicle to get that, right? So that's the first thing, because every decision really falls from there.
How many of those businesses that you help don't have a vision when you start?
The vast majority. I would say probably less than 10% actually have a vision that they can say with confidence, this is what I want, and they can see it and feel it, right? So we have to work with them to really oftentimes pull that out of them. And that's the thing. It's like, you don't get into the car until you know where you're going, right? You have a destination in mind. But so many people are driving their business day in and day out, hustling hard, grinding, taking time away from their family, right? Without a real destination in mind. It's kind of crazy to think about, but that's what's happening most of the time. So I'd say less than 10% of the time, they're clear and confident in what they want to create.
And you recently shared publicly that for the first time in a long time, you feel like you're actually living your true, authentic vision that you have for your life, personally, professionally, etc. How did you come to that vision? And even more importantly, how did you start actually living it?
Yeah, great question. I would say there's been several times throughout where I was at least on my path. So some of the happiest times in my life was not where I felt like I made it, but I felt like I was on my path. And I think that's the main thing to get clear on where you want to go and be like committed to that journey and embrace that. And I'm in one of those seasons right now, which is absolutely beautiful. But I would say like a cool thing for me is like I've had this vision for my life and my business life for years. And it's really exciting when that vision doesn't change. When it's the same vision year after year, that's when you know it's like really the right vision. And yes, some things may change by a very small amount, but if you're having your vision change completely a lot, that means you're probably not locked in on your true vision yet. So if you think about that a lot and really just, again, spend the proper time to go deep on that, that's the first step. And then more and more you can work towards that. But I've very intentionally designed my life and my business with that vision in mind. And I've been, pretty strong on that. My calendar's very wide open. I've got a successful business. We're investing in other businesses. I can travel almost every week, right? Got some great things going on. I don't say that to brag. I say that to say that happens intentionally by design over time with the proper systems and structure.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, like having a vision for your life or your business is like having a flight plan. If the end destination changes, which it will from time to time, you can course correct. But the entire flight, the entire time you're living your vision, you have to make these micro adjustments. And that's what you're saying. Like, it's okay if it changes a little bit year to year, but what I hear you saying is that destination for you hasn't changed for a while now, and that's exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
But what do you think held you back from chasing that end destination or keeping that end destination solid up until maybe the last few years? Like, because it's been changing. What was it?
Yeah, for sure. I would say it's actually fear. Right? I was always like, oh, I need to do this before I can do that, right? Before I start the portfolio and investing in companies, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And it's crazy. Like I always grew up getting great grades and everything, but my sister, she was a valedictorian, yada, yada. She was known as the smart one. So I was never known as the dumb one, but just because she was the smart one, I felt like I wasn't smart enough. And that was a crazy realization I had years ago, that I actually started my business partly to teach myself that I was smart and to teach others that I was smart, right? And so partly fear, a lot of things that we're talking about are related to mindset. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I had the proper tools, mostly from a fear and mindset standpoint, to be able to move into that phase and just go. And, I've had a lot of realizations over the years of like, the time's now. Like I talk to other people that are doing what I want. And I'm like, we're the same. In fact, I actually probably have better skill sets and experiences than that. They've just done it, right? Yeah. So I'd say it's mostly around the mindset.
What actually got you to just do it, to like get started? Obviously you had these roadblocks or obstacles. Most of them, from what I hear you saying, were instilled by other people, right? Yeah. Other people's narratives, other people's perspectives. We all gather those as we're being raised, and we all hold them way more tightly to ourselves than we even recognize. But what was finally that kick in the ass for you that said, okay, now is the time I'm going to go?
Yeah. I would say it's having the pain build up enough to actually change, right? And that's what we tell people is like, don't wait for that big thing where you have to do something. Like as best you can, have a compelling vision that's so big that you want to go towards it, even if things are quote unquote good. And things have been good for years, right? And there hasn't been enough pain necessarily built up. So finally, I would say over the last couple of years, that built up too much that I felt like I was behind on my vision. And when I really broke that down, it was just purely fear that was holding me back from that. So whatever I could have done to inflict that pain or feel that pain more. And I think part of that is like feeling into your vision more, because like the more that you feel that, the bigger it is, the more exciting it is, the more that you want to go to that. And I didn't have that gap of pain to vision be strong enough to make some moves until really this year, honestly.
So do you find ways now to sort of self-inflict pain to make sure that you are pushing to the level you desire to push? Or do you just kind of trust you understand now what pain looks like, feels like, and you don't need that anymore?
Yeah, I think I think about the vision and goals more. So I've done a lot of work over the years as far as like affirmations. I listen to an audio affirmation that I create myself every morning and things. But now I'm going through like the bullet list of my goals every day, right? And just like reminding myself of those numbers. I'm like, those numbers are a lot bigger than where I'm at right now. So I need to do something about that. And having the structure in place of how I approach those things to work on at least 2 hours of big things every single day. They're going to move me towards those big things. Very simple stuff, but really just feeling into and reminding myself more of that vision and what I'm trying to create. I would say that's a bigger one. And then from a mindset standpoint, I feel like we're always ahead of where our actions and results are, right? So like for years, I felt like, for at least, the last 2 years, I would say, I feel like I'm a CEO that's definitely worthy of 10 times the results of where I'm at right now. And I think that that's the first thing to get ahead, to have that belief and confidence and understanding and different things that you really truly believe that, and then your actions start to show up and then your results show up after, right? So I would say that's been a work in progress to continue to get there, that I feel like I'm way ahead on the mindset side versus where I'm at, which is exciting because I can just use that to pull me through.
How do you not let that sort of vision getting ahead become delusion?
Yeah.
Because I've seen it a lot of times in entrepreneurs, they get sort of this delusional perspective, especially in developers, right?
Yeah.
Like people that are developing land, they're always thinking of the next thing. And guess what? The market's always going to go up and to the right. Rates are always going to go down. Life's going to be good. So how do you, as a leader, as a visionary inside of your companies, let that pull you forward, but not cause you to get delusional?
Yeah. So I think there's two things on that. Number one is the gap and the gain. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, Ben Hardy, yeah.
Yeah, Ben Hardy, yeah. So the gap is we're always looking at and comparing ourselves versus this ideal and this goal, whereas the gain is looking at where you have come and the progress that you have made. So it's a balance, right? As entrepreneurs, we always got to be looking forward and feeling like in some way, shape, or form we're not achieving enough, right? But also really embracing the journey that we are on and seeing that progress and making sure that the team feels that same balance as well, and especially the progress, right? So I think that's one a concept that's super powerful to really feel that joy as you're on the journey. And the second I would say is like the name of my company, one of my coaching companies is called 2X, and it's not called 10X. There's so many people out there. Oh, I'm going to 10X, and there's a book called same author. 10X is easier than 2X, and we're like, that's a great thing to think about. That's a great strategy, but at the end of the day, it comes back to execution and momentum. That's why we're always trying to build momentum from an execution standpoint. So I think that's just kind of baked into my overall like thesis and methodology, that's what I'm thinking about, is building those proper steps. So that takes away the delusion that we can see the progress on the path. But I think those two things are super important for that.
So like what I hear you saying, again, going back to the flight analogy, you have a flight plan for your life, but you're celebrating the checkpoints, the waypoints that you cross consistently on the journey to get there. Like the ones that are in sight that you can grab, you can understand, you can comprehend, not the 10X that's so far away. Yeah, it might be exciting. Yeah, it might be compelling, but it almost becomes not tangible because it is so big. It is so grandiose.
Yeah. For sure.
And a business leader, an entrepreneur, they figured out the vision. Now where do they go? What's step two?
Step two is the strategy. So once we understand where we want to go, now we need the strategy and model to get there. And there's the quote, if you give me 6 or 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'll spend the first 2 sharpening the axe. Getting the strategy and model right, in our opinion, is the sharpening of that axe. That's the thing that's going to impact the decision that's going to impact 1,000 other decisions. So before you start running, get super, super clear and intentional on your strategy and approach, right? And 100% of the time that we've worked with businesses, and most of our clients are between 500K and 5 million per year in revenue, so small businesses, 100% of the time, we've refined their strategy. Maybe that's getting more targeted on who they serve, or maybe that's updating their product slate, or making more irresistible offers, or changing the way that they deliver it to be much more scalable. Something related to their strategy and model, usually a lot of things related to that, that's much simpler, much more focused, much more strategic, and much more scalable, and much less dependent on them. If we can do those things, now we're going to make our life easier. Now, part of the challenge that we see in small businesses, and pretty much every business, is complexity, right? Way too much complexity. When we come in, based on the vision and based on the numbers that we see, we're seeing like 40 to 60% of pretty much every business can be cut out. It's just waste. It's either not working or not aligned with the vision, or not strategic, right? So if we can understand that, we can make things so much simpler, so much more strategic, get everybody on the team much more aligned, and now we can actually move, right? And we're just spending a little bit extra time up front to do that, and that's how we can really build momentum.
Are you guys using AI at all to help you think faster, work quicker?
Yeah.
And then how are you implementing that inside of the businesses that you're serving?
Yeah, good question. So a couple ways. Number one is like every single one of our clients, we have a brain on them, right? Like we know all the things that are going on them. We can then use that to start to identify even the gaps that we don't see as from a coach's standpoint, right? We're able to also better manage our coaches and support the clients from the rest of our team as well with that. So that's like one of the first things. I think everybody that has clients should have some type of database that they can leverage with AI. That's pretty easy. Other things are we have a ton of systems and SOPs and templates that people can swipe and deploy. We've got a lot of AI tools and GPTs that people can swipe and deploy and use as well. So as we do anything, we want to turn that into a system. And the best systems right now are AI and automation, right? So if we can do that and duplicate that for clients, that's a huge win as well. And then next from there is as we start to map out their business, A to Z, whether it's their customer, full customer journey, or whether it's the journey for a specific product, or if it's a specific process that we're mapping out, we teach them to start to look at what are those leverage points from an AI standpoint that you can do, and giving them the knowledge and resources to be able to do that. So it really starts, starts with like mapping out things, because then you can start to see what systems are needed. And again, start to look at exactly where AI can be inserted. So over time, more and more is being done with AI, right? So I would say right now, it's still only like probably 10 to 20% maybe that can really be AI-fied, but that's going to just be going up 10% every quarter at least. You know?
Yeah. How much of a business do you think 2 years from now, 3 years from now can be run by AI?
At least 80%. It's like, I just went through talking with an SDR that was AI that my buddy set up. He did it all custom himself. And this isn't even an out-of-box solution. And it was insane. It was way better than any SDR I could hire. She was answering crazy questions. She was emotionally connecting, and that's really hard to do. So many of the other things, when you really break them down, are quite easy to do. Yeah. So it's just about the proper setup of them, so that they're not all these 1,000 different pieces, so that we can bring them together. And then the second piece is data, right? If you can properly capture data, then you can really leverage AI in a pretty big way. And those two things are going to become easier and easier. That all the tools are already being created for some even complex things that is pretty crazy. So then the question is, what does it come down to then? right? Well, it comes down to vision, like who's going to have like the most creative vision, who's going to be able to connect human to human and really have those things, and really first mover advantage as well. But there's going to be so much opportunity, and at the same time, it's going to change everything from a business standpoint.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I tell people all the time, AI is going to change the world. It already has changed the world in incredible ways. Some for the good, some for the bad, like everything in life. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to execution.
Yeah.
Who can execute on the vision? Who can execute on the strategy? Who can execute on the systems? And then who is willing to be ruthlessly accountable the entire time to the metrics and the data? Mm-hmm. And I think from my perspective, for the last maybe 7 years, everybody's been talking about data. Mm-hmm. And people thought that there was value in the data to sell the data to other users of said data. Mm-hmm. I think the thing most of us missed was the value wasn't selling the data to someone else. The value was keeping the data and using the data to make better decisions, faster decisions, and more powerful decisions for ourselves. So for you personally, how do you utilize data for yourself to make better decisions, both professionally and personally?
Yeah, good question. Everything that we do comes down to the numbers. The numbers are the guide. They show you what's working, what's not, where to focus, what to fix, right? They take out all the guesswork and give you the answers, right? Mm-hmm. So oftentimes, though, as business owners, we're not looking at the cheat sheet. It's like right there. Like there's no... It's not wrong to look at the cheat sheet, right? It's actually right. So most people are too busy to actually set that up, or they say that they're not numbers people or whatever. The numbers are the guide. They change everything. So we live by that. We help all our businesses set those up in detail so that they can see them, because it's your best management tool to be able to make decisions, and it's your best team tool because they can get clear and aligned and be held accountable without you having to whip them over the head, right? So again, we love the numbers, but you don't need to track hundreds and hundreds of numbers. Like if you really just start with a few handful, you can have a high impact. But then also, again, personally as well. And I'm doing everything from objective data that's very clear, but also subjective data. So for instance, I rate myself in different areas of my life every single month, right? And that helps me start to see where I'm at and how I'm feeling. And then I make a plan for each one of those. So definitely lots of numbers in and out of business. But the cool thing is like once you set up a lot of those systems and numbers, then it's so easy. Right? It's just like you're just literally checking things, and this is how you can free up so much time and brain space and still have clarity and control, which is oftentimes what we really want, right? And then you can focus, where you choose to from there.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting to me is a lot of the times I think business owners and entrepreneurs are operating with what I call decision fatigue. Mm-hmm. They make so many decisions in a day that at some point they just get sick of making them. And so what do? They don't make anything. Mm-hmm. They just kind of let the problem be the problem. They let the issue be the issue. Hey, you handle it. Hey, whatever. For you in your personal life, you focus a lot on systems and you focus a lot on freedom. I mean, you talked about it earlier. Like you have a free calendar, you can travel every week. Like that's important to you. But where in your life are the systems broken? Like what are you working on right now for you personally, you professionally, that you want to improve for you in your business?
Yeah, great question. In my business, I was going to answer a personal one, but
you can do that too.
Yeah. On the personal front, my relationship systems, man, I've got some killer systems to date amazing people, but I haven't been in many long-term relationships, and I'm looking for my partner, and I want to build an incredible family and incredible partnership, and just went through a breakup last month, and I'm like, man, I'm back to starting that.
Why do you think that is?
I mean, at the end of the day, like it comes back to me, as a leader, I've got to look at what my opportunities are. Of course, I have like very, very high expectations and standards of myself and what I'm trying to create. So like that limits my pool. It's not, necessarily that easy. And at the same time, communication. Yeah, really communication and understanding and just like building a true partnership. I feel like I've learned so much, and I love the subject of relationships that I feel like I've read more relationship books than 99% of the married people that I know, right? And at the same time, like I haven't made it to a point where I've really built the relationship that I know in my mind is possible, right? So I'm excited for that journey, because that's just as much personal development, if not more, than entrepreneurship, which is beautiful and challenging and fun and all the things, right?
Well, what's interesting about that is I think a lot of times as systems people, as business builders, we try to take the things that work in the professional setting and we try to duplicate them in our personal life. And I've been fortunate, man. I got married to just an amazing human being, and I found her at a very young age, and we got married, and life is great, and I got very lucky. But I'm really grateful that I did that, because I think the human I am today would really struggle in relationship, because again, we try to make it all metrics bound. We try to make it all systems bound. We try to make it all calendar based. And even in my current relationship, I try to at times treat my kids and my wife like employees or like the business. And I have found personally for myself, it doesn't work. You just have to be you. So from a professional standpoint, where are you flirting with disaster right now? Where are you trying to fix?
So I just took back over one of our companies and trying to get that back on the up and up. So
why'd you take it back?
Because, well, there's a good asset there, and it's good cash flow, and it's good for what we're building next, which is building a portfolio. So it's just been on a decline because I was focused on another company in our portfolio, and every time I've given growth off for that company, it's just gone down, and it makes a pretty quick and substantial impact on profit. But you can literally see our growth trends. It's like up, down, up. When I take it back over, down, up, down. And I'm not the best at owning that role, but for whatever reason, the way that I've handed that off and to the people that I've handed off to, I haven't done it in the proper way that things have gone down. So getting that turned back around so that we're on the up and up, so that profit's back where I'm used to it being, and then moving into the next phase, but doing so while that keeps going in the exact way that we're talking about. That's my big challenge and opportunity right now, which is fun. It's underway. It just takes a little bit of time to get things turned around. So yeah, I'm anxious to see how I can do that while stepping away.
Yeah, the baton handoff is so important, right? And what I hear you saying is you maybe gotten that baton handoff wrong or handed it to the wrong person. What did you learn from that, and what will you do different this next time you hand the baton off? Yeah,
good question. I'd say with each one, it was a little bit different. With the first one, it was just the wrong person. He was really, really strong at sales, and he wanted more opportunity, and he kind of outgrew head of sales. That I was like, all right, you understand everything that we're talking about. We have some great strategic chats about this stuff. I was like, you can take over head of marketing and basically be head of growth overall. And that was a totally different skill set than head of sales once you get into the nitty gritty. And there wasn't a proper transition where he stopped all the things that were working. Yes, they could have been optimized. We all saw that there was opportunity to improve them, but you don't stop anything that's working until you create something that replaces it. And we did that. And that was very, very, very expensive. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is I didn't fix it. I let him in that role for way too long, and ultimately didn't officially let him go for 18 months, where I knew early on, a lot of these probably aren't going to work based on the experience that I had, and I had a lot more experience in that than he did. So I didn't make the decision fast enough.
What stopped you from making that decision fast?
I had a ton of respect for him, and honestly, I wasn't the leader that I needed to be. I wasn't, again, it goes back to fear. I didn't have the confidence in myself to be like, hey, I believe this is not going to work, that I need to make a decision and bet on that. But things went from really, really good, top 0.1 type of percent type of business to, very low profit margins and in a pretty quick period of time. So ultimately, I'd say I lost about $1 million in that move, just with that one role,
in
personally.
18 months.
Personally.
Yeah, in 18 months.
Yeah.
That's a very short window. Yeah. What will you do different next time? So you have intuition or inkling like this isn't the right human.
Yeah.
How did you learn from that lesson? How do you fire fast?
Yeah, good question. So we do trial periods for basically any new role. And a lot of times that's like a 2-week trial period because we say that you have very high confidence at 2 days and 2 weeks. So 2 days in, once somebody starts, you'll see so much more than you see in the hiring process, even the testing process, no matter how much you do, right? And you'll have a good kind of gut feel. And then at the end of 2 weeks, you'll have even stronger feel. So we have outs then. I didn't have that in place for roles transitioning from one to the next, right? But then also it's just like a better scorecard and metric system to be able to say, hey, like if this is happening over a three month span, like that means you're not even a PIP. It's like basically a plan to get removed. And PIP is performance improvement plan, which basically means that you're looking to either move up or move out.
Right.
And so just having those systems in place. At the end of the day, it's like, all right, what systems can we put in place that can make this easier? Way less stress on me. I don't have to have the conversations. It's like everybody knows the game, right?
So what I hear you saying is you almost dehumanize the process because the reason that you didn't let him go for 18 months, what I heard you say is you had a ton of respect for him, which also means you liked him, you valued him, you knew what he was possibly capable of doing, maybe in a different role. You saw some potential there, but there was like a very human element.
Yeah.
And in leading the business, now what I hear you saying is you kind of dehumanize the process and just keep it all metrics bound.
Yes, so that you can actually have more human connection and care, right? Because like if you're, like you talked about decision fatigue, if you're spending all your time with all these different decisions, you don't really have the time or energy to care for your team. Whereas like if everything's super clear, then your job is to support them, right? And it's just a completely different frame and everybody's clear and aligned and it's just like the decisions are made. So it's taking out all the decisions that we have to do so that everybody's clear and playing the same game so that you can help everybody win it better.
Yeah, it's funny because a lot of times failure to perform in the role comes from a lack of clarity on what success truly looks like in the role.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us as leaders, as business owners, we know in our mind what we want to do. We know in our mind what success looks like, but our ability to articulate that is often where the disconnect occurs. Yeah. So you talk a lot about vision. How do you get your team on board for the vision you have for the business and the opportunity for them?
Yeah, make it a part of everything that we do in the hiring process all the way through, right? So it's in the job postings, right? It's the first thing that we send as soon as they apply for the first step. We're looking for people that have the same vision. We call it the vision crossover. So what's the vision of the company? What's their vision? If those two things aren't aligned, then it's a no-go, right? So we're including that right from the start. And I don't see enough businesses really sharing that because you want people that are aligned for it. We call it the forever team strategy. It's like, who do you want to be playing the game of business with forever, for at least 5, 10, hopefully more years than that. So oftentimes we're hiring people for these one-off jobs or just thinking of a task or thinking of this fire that we have. No, like get somebody that's aligned with the vision and mission and start by sharing that right up front. The next is then sharing that ongoing, having regular meetings, having core values channels, having different things that you're always talking about the vision. Every single one of our full team meetings starts with team shout outs in the core values and the vision. And if we can go through those things every single time and everybody continues to say, excited in seeing that, then we all just win together in a much bigger way, and people stay longer. Our average person stays over 5 years,
wow.
Which is pretty crazy.
So, do you think society and culture is accepting of the forever team in today's day and age?
I'm not sure, but I try to detach from all that, right? To create what you want. It's kind of like what we're talking about, right? So it's expensive to have to go out and hire new people all the time. It's exhausting to always have to fill roles and replace people, right? It's so distracting when somebody quits that you don't see quitting, that you have to go and help support in that area, or your team has to go help and support in that area. So if you look at the true cost of either not hiring the right people or not keeping them, it's insane. Like one of the best books is called Top Grading, and they say it's 17 to 26 times the salary of not hiring the right person, again, let alone if you're having turnover on that as well. So I think it's pretty rare to have that forever team mentality and making that real. But it's also possible, and I would do what you can to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is very rare, and I think it is very possible. If you have the right vision, if you attract the right people, if you vet them properly, and if you truly buy into the vision they have for their lives as well. A lot of leaders buy into their own vision, buy into the vision of the business. But if you ask them what Sally wants to do this year, they'll be like, I don't even know. Yep. Well, how many kids does Sally have? I don't even know. Like, you have to get bought into your people's vision. Yep. So you said this vision intersection concept. How do you guys, through the interview process, through the onboarding process, capture the vision from the human so that you can make sure there's alignment or intersection there for you guys?
Yeah, it's right at the top of the scorecard. So the first thing on the scorecard is what's the vision for the role. Second thing on the scorecard is what's their vision, right? And your job as a leader is to help them achieve their vision. Yeah. And if you hire the right people, their vision is literally helping you to achieve your vision, right? Like that's literally what your job changes to. At the beginning, we have to do so many things ourselves, but quickly we have to transition to be focused on helping other people achieve theirs, which is the best way to achieve yours. And it's kind of the long way around, but it's the most leveraged way. So we keep it as at the top of the scorecard, and that's what we go through. And then every single month, we're going through that from a high level. But there should be no surprises from a team standpoint, whether somebody wants to do something new or go into a different role or definitely quit or if even being let go. None of that should be a surprise. Everything should be clear and mapped out and communicated openly. That builds a lot of trust, right?
How many of these conversations are you having, and how many people report directly to you versus people reporting to the people that report to you?
Yeah, right now I have 4 people reporting to me, and we usually recommend a max of 7, ideally a max of 5 people reporting to you. So the less, of course, the better. But yeah, we've got a pretty small team now that I can have 4 people report to me and be able to get a lot of things done. And it's easy that way. And you can set up whatever cadence you want, but I like weekly check-ins, so weekly sync, and then department meetings, and Mondays and Thursdays, those are a little bit more meetings than others, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, I have wide open, and it makes for a pretty light schedule, but also that allows me to do deep work on the most important things that are going to help support them and our clients in a bigger way, right?
So it sounds like you run a lot of your world, your businesses around some version of EOS.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of EOS that you've taken and made your own? Is EOS something you love and just embrace fully the way it is? Is it something you hate and want to throw in the garbage?
Yeah, good question. We have our own, which we've definitely molded over the years. It really started with scaling up, which is where EOS even started. I like scaling up more because it is more engineering approaches, a little bit more structured, a little bit more detailed. EOS is great, and it's better than 99% of operating systems that people have out there, which is nothing, right? But it's a little bit too generic. It's a little bit too loose, and the way that we have it is like more numbers based and more growth oriented. So we've kind of, again, created our own operating system over time, but anything is better than nothing. But it's really all of the operating systems out there are really using the same thing. They're trying to get people more aligned on the right things in a more efficient manner. And if you can do that, like, you're set up for success. But we've created our own over the years that we think is much better.
Yeah, and it's all about making sure people are doing the right things to move toward the vision.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
so like vision in all of those operating systems is really important, because without a destination, without a vision, you don't really know if you're on the right path or making the right decisions in the business.
Yeah, and if you ask a lot of people in any team, any business, what's the stat, like 5% or something, I forget exactly what the stat is, but only a very small percentage actually know what the goals and vision are. So you're exactly right. Like, that's the key thing. If you can get that right, that we know where we're going, so much more success is going to happen, especially if you start to put some guardrails in place.
So as a business owner, I've got the vision finally. I went to AI, got the strategy figured out, looked at all my competitors, looked at the top coaches, said, hey, give me some advice. Where do I go after that?
Yep. Then we start to need to build the machine step by step. So building the machine means you've got the proper systems, numbers, and team in place so that things are consistent and predictable and not rely on you. And then that's how we make things more consistent, much more efficient and profitable, be able to delegate them onto other people. And now we have leverage that we can go and start to stack on or grow each part of the business. And if you do that, we do so in a systematic manner, where if you improve your marketing a little bit, you improve your sales conversions a little bit, you improve your fulfillment and customer LTV, and you improve your profitability a little bit. If you start to compound those pieces on top of each other, this is how you can double, triple, quadruple your business and then keep going up and up and up consistently. That's what we want to do. So we turn the business into a machine, and then the last piece is then we start to add additional levers, whether it's new products, new channels, new businesses, start to look at those real scale levers, whereas most people can't get to that spot because they don't have a validated strategy and model. They don't have the business to be a machine. It's reliant on them, yada, yada, so they can't truly scale. But that's when the fun happens. But that's also when you have optionality. And that's the goal as a business owner, is to be able to have optionality. Again, whether you want to exit and retire, or have a good payday, you want to take a step back, you just want to have a good lifestyle business, you want to be able to build an empire, whatever you want to do, having optionality is the key.
What if I told you that the biggest breakthrough in your wealth, your health, or your relationships doesn't come from grinding harder, but from finding the right community? Gobundance is a community of over 800 high performers, entrepreneurs, and investors with a combined net worth of over $5.7 billion. But look, it's not just about the money. We're about building lives of abundance. Inside of Gobundance, we hold each other to a higher standard. It's a brotherhood built around 6 core pillars that touch on every aspect of life. So what does that actually look like? Look at guys like Diego Corzo, who after joining Gobundance became financially free, built a large real estate portfolio, gave a TEDx talk, and even got invited to the White House. Or John Edwin, who doubled his passive income while also helping his son launch a business at the age of 15. Even Daniel Del Real, who thought he was at Gobundance for business growth, but realized he needed to transform his health. 8 Ironmans later, he's a completely different man. This tribe is built for men who've already found success, but know there's another level. For our families, our health, our purpose, and our legacy. If you're ready for a tribe that challenges you to achieve a higher standard for yourself, visit gobundance.com/tribe. That's GOBUNDANCE.com/TRIBE to apply today. This episode is brought to you by Loletta Birnbaum LLC, doing business justice. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, real estate investor, or a combination of each, you know how critical it is to have trusted legal advisors on your team. Loletta Birnbaum has built a stellar reputation providing exceptional legal services that make a difference. As a national business law firm, Loletta Birnbaum provides a wide variety of legal services, including general corporate, contract negotiations, mergers and acquisitions, succession planning, intellectual property, commercial litigation, shareholder disputes, real estate, and employment. Whether you're navigating a complex business deal, resolving disputes, or protecting your brand, their team delivers practical, results-driven legal solutions tailored to your goals. For inquiries, Gobundance members should email Loletta Birnbaum at gobundance@loletta.com. That's LAULETTA.com. You can also visit their website at www.lauletta.com to learn more about how they can do your business justice. This episode is brought to you by Apex Functional Health, the team behind age-defying health at Gobundance. If you're a high-achieving entrepreneur, investor, or leader, you know that your health is your greatest asset. But the truth is, traditional medicine isn't built for people like you. It treats symptoms, ignores root causes, and keeps you stuck in cycles of fatigue, stress, and subpar performance. That's where Apex comes in. They do not do Band-Aids. They engineer elite health transformations for men, women, and children looking to optimize their health and be proactive instead of reactive. Apex uses root cause functional medicine, advanced lab testing, and cutting-edge biohacking tools to help you optimize energy, eliminate the root cause holding you back, and reverse early signs of aging so you can live, feel, and perform at your best. Apex helps you take control of your health so you can lead with power, not burnout. Visit apexfunctionalhealth.com to schedule your free strategy call and see what's possible when your body finally works for you, not against you. What's slowing your business down? Is it endless emails, scheduling headaches, repetitive tasks that steal your time? My Outdesk has your solution. Their experienced global virtual assistants handle the busy work so you can focus on strategy, growth, and whatever matters to you most. From administrative support to marketing and customer service, they've got you covered at a fraction of the cost of hiring in-house. Scale smarter, save bigger, get the support you need today at My Outdesk. So I heard you say metrics, systems, team, right?
Yep.
People. Which one of those three is the most important?
The first one that starts with is the metrics, because like from there you understand where you're at and you have the goals of where you want to go. Now we can see really what the gap is and what's needed. The next then is systems, because you want to basically take everything that you're doing and set people up for success, which is the third person or third piece, which is the people. So that's kind of the order that we take is like, what are all the numbers? Let's understand that because that'll help us understand exactly where to focus and what to fix. Then as we're doing the particular process, turn that into a machine with the proper systems, and then put and improve the people. And systems and people are two sides of the same coin, right? Like you need one to run and manage the other. You need one to create the other. But really thinking about what systems can we put in place to help set up and support the team. It's just a mindset shift that will allow you to get a lot more out of your team.
Yeah, from my perspective, I'm always a people first kind of a guy because I don't want to do the work myself, right? We were just talking earlier about the ranch. Like, I can build the best system to redo fences, but I don't want to redo a fence. So I'd rather hire the guy that's built fences, have him work for me, tell him, hey, we need a system. What's our system? And then let him build the system. But a lot of leaders fail to actually check in on the system. Is it working? Is it not working? And the metrics, generally speaking, will tell you if the system is or is not working. But what metrics do you look at to tell you if the human is working or not working? Yeah,
I would say the big thing is setting those targets. And a lot of times they set the targets, right? Like if you just let them set the targets and then they're tracking consistently, and there's a couple things with numbers that you want to track. You want to track what's the actual of where you're at right now. You want to track the targets of what you want. And you could break that down into like stretch versus baseline or whatever. You could do that, but keep it as simple as possible. You also want to look at the trend over time, right? And be able to see that. And if you have those 3 data points, you can tell if you're winning or you're losing. And the key thing with the trend is you want to see, is that number improving, especially if it's becoming off or is off. If that person's not improving that, then something's wrong. Either the person or the system or both. But if you give them that clarity from a number standpoint, now you can have a strategy conversation and be able to support them, but ultimately they own it. A lot of times that's not clear. So people are working really hard, but they don't actually own any numbers because they don't have any clarity on it. And as a result, they don't drive the performance that the business owner is looking for. And as a result, nobody wins, right? So it's really using those numbers as the guide to support them.
Well, one of the things you said that I think is super important is your team sets the metrics.
Yeah.
You guide them, you help them get there. But the second you can get your team to set the number, they are going to be far more bought into the success and accomplishment of said number than if you just give them some arbitrary number that means nothing to them. How do you get your team to set those metrics? How do you guide them to that point where you feel good that it's in alignment with your vision and where you want to go, but it's still their number or their metric that they set?
Yeah, if you have some of the numbers in place to say, here's where we've historically been, then if they're an A performer, they're going to be like, oh, I can beat those. I can improve those. So they actually set usually pretty reasonable, pretty strong numbers. Yeah. And if you start to then reverse engineer how do all these numbers fold up into the overall company numbers, you can see, does it align? And if it doesn't, that's where you go back and you start to have conversations of, hey, like, I think we need it to be here. Can we do this? Blah, blah, blah. And you start to support them in that. But a lot of times they set maybe even more ambitious numbers than you otherwise would, especially if you show them kind of what's there and what it's been.
That's been my experience. Anytime you have A players set the metric, they almost go too far.
Yeah.
And you have to dial them back. Yeah. And so from my perspective, that's one of the ways to identify an A player versus a B or a C player is when they do start setting metrics for themselves. Where do they draw the line in the sand? Because the A players are like, oh, I can 10X that next year. It's like, okay, like, if you can, that would be great, but like, could we 2X it? Like, let's hold that line. Yeah. And as a leader, you have to dial them back, bring them back to reality a little bit because they do have ambitious goals and they do have a lot of confidence in their competence inside of the role. And so they want to blow that number out of the water and wow you away.
Yep, for sure.
From success versus failure, what % of businesses do you think fail because they don't have the right systems or the right people?
Well, I think fail is an interesting word because fail is really, in my opinion, if you don't achieve your vision or goals, right? And not the arbitrary goals of like, I want to hit this revenue metric, but really if you don't achieve the outcome in the life that you're ultimately looking for. So, I would say that's a high percentage that do that. And I hate to see people that have this vision of this life and then slowly over time, they get less and less ambitious and less excited about what's possible, right? Because they're not implementing a lot of what we're talking about. So that's the real failure, in my opinion, you know? But as far as like actually having strong systems and strong people to be able to succeed and achieve like the things that they know are possible, it's a very low number. Right. And a lot of people are potentially successful in one period, but then something shifts in the market or economy or whatever, and they're not successful in another. What you want to be able to do is to be able to be successful in all the times because you're going to hit all those seasons if you're in the game of business for a long enough time. So you need to understand systems and you need to understand people at a high level to be able to do that. But unfortunately, most aren't. So I don't know the percentage, but I know only 4% of businesses actually reach 7 figures, and such a fewer amount do so with like the freedom and lifestyle that they want. So we're talking about maybe 1 or 2% of businesses out there that are actually achieving quote unquote success in the way that I see it.
Yeah, the other thing that drives me crazy is, you know, in the stats you just provided, the 7 figures, nobody talks about profit. Everybody likes to talk about revenue.
Yeah.
Why? Revenue doesn't put food on the table.
Yeah.
Revenue doesn't pay the bills.
Yeah.
Why don't we focus more on profit?
It's ego. It's vanity. It's easier to talk about from a high level, but I think also people are insecure about it, right? Like most business owners are not making nearly as much money as you think, and not nearly as much money as they like want to. Most business owners could make a lot more money in a job, like in a W-2 job than they could as a business owner. And that's that's for a lot of us entrepreneurs that we have the egos, we have pride. Like we don't want people to know that, you know. And I've had many times where I wasn't making nearly as much money as people on the outside thought I was, and it's scary to talk about, you know.
Yeah, and the other thing is most people just don't know.
Oh,
when you ask them what is your profit margin, they just don't know.
Yeah.
How much you actually netting, they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know their metrics. They don't know their numbers. And so they only talk about the top line because they know that number and that's all they focus on.
Yeah.
So your definition of failure is an interesting one. And it could be a very powerful one if harnessed properly. But how do you take your definition of failure of not succeeding at the life you envision and balance that with this notion of like, when is enough enough?
Yeah.
Like, how do you decide?
Well, that's what I was sharing earlier is like we keep asking why for when people say they want things so that we can get down to the root of it. Because once you really get down to the root of it, it's the story of the Mexican fisherman, the parable. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, ultimately understanding what would happen if all this success happened. What would happen then? What would that look like? What would be that dream scenario? Okay, how can we start doing that now, today, as fast as possible, right? Like, yes, I want $100 million in my bank account. Yes, I want all these different things. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to live the lifestyle that I want then, and like right now as I'm building that, right? And that's what I think is success, is like having the success both now as you're working towards that other level of success in the future. So it just goes back to really understanding why, and really it's hard work. It's like one of the hardest things is to figure out what we really, really, really want. I made a joke on the video the other day. It's like, remember the Spice Girls song?
Yeah.
What do you really, 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 really want?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to get clear on. But once you do, you see, you know, the family life that you want, how you want to be spending your time, what you want to be spending your time on, what you actually need from a financial standpoint. If you are smart with your finances, you probably need less to live an incredible lifestyle. It's just the dumb decisions or keeping up with the Joneses or whatever that can make that hard. But a lot of people are living a lifestyle that's well ahead of where their finances are at, and it's not even for things that really bring them the true joy at the end of the day. That I think as we get older, we have better awareness to what we actually want. But like, I don't want to wait until I'm 70 to know a lot of that stuff. Yeah. I'm trying to know that now. So the more personal work that you can do on yourself, I think the more that accelerates, that you really learn that it's so much about people and self-love and some of these things that aren't as sexy as the nice car and some of the other things that you see kind of growing up, right?
So what lesson would you say God, the universe, the environment around you is trying to show you that you're not yet willing to accept, that 80-year-old version of you will be proud to have embodied and accepted?
That I'm already ready. That I'm ready. It's like, for whatever I want, I'm ready.
Yeah. For
my queen, I'm ready. For my empire, I'm ready. For building a portfolio, I'm ready. To raise, $100 million, I'm ready. Like that's what my 80-year-old self will tell me.
And the thing holding you back from that is outside noises, fear.
Yeah, it's in some way, shape, or form fear and lack of self-worth.
Yeah. For
me to like fully embody that all the time, right? And there's times where I go through it where I'm like, yeah, I feel it, and there's times where the doubts are there. And the cool thing is, you talk with anybody, they're like, the doubts are still there sometimes, right? We just do it, Yeah. So it's a fun balance to keep that in mind as I'm moving forward. Yeah,
it seems for me, and the people I've talked to, the people I've been around, the doubts don't go away. You just get way better at ignoring them.
Yeah.
And the further you get, the more you experience, the more you understand, like, I can find the way or make the way to achieve whatever I desire in my life, so long as I choose it. A lot of the times we say we want something, but we don't really choose it, especially in business. So someone listening to this is like, man, I really resonate with what he's saying. What is one tip, one lesson, one thing you would leave the listeners with that will change their business dramatically in the next 12 months?
I think one of the things that we're talking about is just going pro with the numbers. Like, it's one of the best tools that you can have. It's just going to make everything so much easier so that you know where to focus to better support your team or focus on the right things. Whether you want to get wealthy or not, it's going to help in a big way. Robert Kiyosaki says, the faster that you want to get rich, the more accurate with your numbers you must be, right? And if you really dial in the numbers, it'll just give you so much clarity so that you can make your life easier, so that you can identify what to cut out, you know better where to fix, you can better support your team. So I think that's one of the big dominoes that we're talking about here, that a lot of people are just too busy to really lean into, or think that they don't have the skill sets. But if you get the proper numbers set up, it's going to help in a big way.
You wrote 2 books. You brought me 2 books. Yeah. Where do people start? Which one do they start with? And then how can they find you to continue reading and continue learning from you?
Yeah, great question. From 6 to 7 figures is the first one that I would start with. We even have businesses that are already at $10 million that are counting it or reading it as well. But it's really just talking through a lot of our methodology, as far as there's a very strategic order to things and working on the right things in the right order with the vision in mind, and really building the business to scale and achieve that. So that one's kind of the best place to start. And then the second one is called the 2-week vacation test, which is much more about, once you have some things validated and proven, is detaching yourself from the business so that you can have more freedom and be able to work in a higher impact CEO type role, so that you can achieve both the things, more success and more freedom at the same time. So both of those are complementary, because everything that we talk about is, again, achieving the lifestyle and business success that you want, but they're definitely a little bit different.
And then where can people find out more about you, more about 2X, and hear more about what you and your companies are up to?
Yeah, 2x.co is the best place. So we've got some great free tools and resources. You can see the books there. We've got an assessment that breaks things down into the different areas of business to identify where that first area that you should focus on. But 2x.co, the shortest domain you'll have all week.
Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah, thank you.